Our session today, is on literature search, systematic literature search. Okay. Can you hear us?
Sorry, the voice is not clear.
The noise is coming from someone called Dr. Patrick. Dr. Patrick? Dr. Patrick, online, please.
Actually, I'm muted.
All right, so our session, we shall start with the introduction. Look at the learning outcomes, then the importance of systematic literature searching. We will develop a systematic search strategy. We look at the search techniques and the search process. At the end, we shall put all together to develop the search strategy. Then we shall have an exercise, a literature search exercise, and then we shall summarize our session. And those are our learning outcomes. I hope that by the time we finish this session, you will know how to develop an effective search strategy, to identify the sources, to conduct systematic literature search, and to comprehensively and exhaustively search for and find literature on a particular topic. So we are going to start, I'm going to take you backward. We are going to start with the definition of a systematic review. I believe we all know what a systematic review is by now. We may not have had comprehensive definitions, but at least we know what a systematic review is. So I picked out a few definitions, and I highlighted some of the things that I need us to note in this session. The first one, a comprehensive and structured approach to summarizing and synthesizing existing research evidence on a specific topic. I need you to take note of those words that are in red or maroon. The process that follows predefined and transparent criteria to identify, collect, assess, and analyze relevant studies from the available literature, and then to provide an unbiased and objective summary of the current state of knowledge on a particular subject. So why I took you back to the definition of the systematic review, I am trying to show you how literature searching is a very, very important step or component of the systematic review process. So just like, when I'm in a factory and I want to manufacture a cotton fabric, my raw material would be, what would be my raw material for a cotton fabric? It would be cotton. So for a systematic review, what do you think is our raw material? for systematic reviews? Yes.
Already conducted.
Online? What do you think is our
Already available literature on the subject.
literature? Okay, thank you very much. So literature is our very, very important raw material to produce a systematic review. There are some systematic reviews that actually where you find that there is not a lot of literature. There's where you go into the databases and you search and there is no literature and you still do a systematic review. That is called an empty review. Okay. I know we looked at the various types of reviews yesterday and the other day, but there is also what we call an empty review. You can imagine when you start, let me say there is a new topic, let me say COVID. The very first person who did a systematic review on COVID may have found very, very limited literature. So the literature was so limited that you just write okay, there's a way you can still combine some literature and write, but the actual literature is actually not there. So there is always a starting point. So that very one, if there is not adequate literature, can still be a systematic review. It can be published, but it would be an empty review. Maybe it would be a starting point of the next systematic review. Okay. So I brought these definitions and also the characteristics of systematic reviews to bring out the importance of a systematic literature search. So those are the characteristics of systematic reviews, but I'll just focus on the third one, which is conducting a comprehensive and systematic search of literature to identify studies for inclusion in our review. So the literature search is one of the most important steps in a systematic review process. It is a foundation of the systematic review, and it is very important that you understand the importance of literature search and its role in producing a robust systematic review. So that is the systematic review process. Under those words that you are seeing down there, preparation, retrieval, appraisal, synthesis, and write-up, each one of them has a subtopic under. For example, under preparation, you find a research question, which you did yesterday, identifying or formulating the research question and maybe doing the protocol development, and then retrieval, which is our main focus today, the one that is in blue. That is retrieval of the literature to review, to include in the systematic review. So we'll look at the essential components and best practices for conducting a systematic literature search as part of the systematic review process. So what is the importance? What is the importance of systematic literature searching? I know from yesterday, the other day, and what I've been talking about, we most likely know the importance, how important it is for us to do a systematic and comprehensive literature search for our systematic review. All right, so the first one is minimizing bias. I will not talk a lot about some of these, because I think risk of bias session is going to take place after this session. You will know that the various biases in systematic reviews and how to avoid them. We know systematic review aims at minimizing bias. Okay, so the various biases that you're going to look at include one bias called publication bias. So to avoid publication bias, we need to make sure that we do a comprehensive literature search, such that we find all the literature that is out there and we include it in our review. And by doing that, we'll be doing comprehensive searching. So there is what we call reproducibility. Later on, you will see when you do a systematic review and you search for literature, you start at the protocol development, identify the literature that is out there to help you develop your protocol. Later on, you do the comprehensive literature now for the systematic review. And later on, as you will know, systematic reviews need to be updated regularly. So when you're updating, maybe after 3-4 years, you want to update your review, it means you're going to use the same search strategy that you used in the previous review. So there has to be something what we call reproducibility, so that the search that you used, the search strategy that you used 5 years ago, you use it again, it should give you almost similar results. But of course, as we all know, databases keep updating every day. They keep adding literature every day. So I would expect you, after 2 years, when you use the same search strategy, you will definitely get slightly more, isn't it? You will get slightly more results, but you will also be able to capture the results that you captured 3 years ago. So this would be like an addition, okay? So the search strategy must be reproducible. You can imagine, let's say we want to publish our systematic review with the Cochrane library. When you send your review or your protocol or your systematic review to the reviewer may pick the search strategy as is and throw it in a database and get, for example, if he gets 1,000 results. And for you, when you searched, the review says that when you searched, you got 200 results. Then it means that that search strategy is not, there's something wrong with it. It is not reproducible. We would expect if you searched, for example, a PubMed database, you searched today, you got 305 studies. After 1 month, you submit your review to the reviewer. When he reviews, when he uses the same search strategy and the same database, he should be getting something like 305, 306, 310. It should be just within there, but not 1,000. Do you get it? So that's there you would know that this search strategy is actually reproducible. So that is the importance of doing a transparent and comprehensive literature review. And also about evidence quality. The search strategy should be able to pick out the best evidence on a particular topic. And it should be able to inform decision-making. So that is the importance of systematic literature search, so that a decision maker, if it's supposed to inform policy or practice, we are basing on evidence that is of high quality, that is reliable. You know? We shall look at the various databases later on and other sources of information as we move ahead. So let's now go to a search strategy. A search strategy is an organized structure of key terms used to search a database. You may be having different definitions, but it all means that. An organized structure of key terms used to search a database. You realize that for those who have been involved with systematic reviews, you will note that each database has its own search strategy. If in your review you searched 5 databases, Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we hear you.
Okay, so what I was saying, each database will have its own search strategy. And remember why we are saying that it is very, very important to have our search strategy organized. It is because when you're publishing the
Hello, Felix. Please, could you check the connection? Prof is muted.
Okay, so these are the steps in the search process. The first one is scoping your search topic. You define and refine your research question or your review question. And I want to believe that yesterday you covered this. Did you? Defining or formulating a research question or a review question. The previous slide. Oh, the computer has also changed. I think I was here at the search strategy. So I said, I defined the search strategy as an organized structure of key terms used to search a database. Okay. Yes, and I also said that systematic reviews require not only top-notch search results, but reproducibility. And I already talked about reproducibility. When you do your search strategy, you must make sure that it is reproducible. It will produce the same results when you use it again. And when I say the same results, you also have to bear in mind that databases like EBSCO, like PubMed, they keep indexing new research every day. So when I search today, the EBSCO database, and I get 15 studies, it is very possible that if I search it tomorrow or next week, I'll get 17 or 20. So there is that percentage that is allowed in reproducibility because of the fact that we keep getting new literature in databases every day. So then let's go to the steps in the search process. And I mentioned that some of the steps were covered yesterday. Scoping your search topic, you define and refine the review question. And I'm told you didn't do this yesterday, but I think it's covered. Did you do it? The review question, you covered it. That's what I'm talking about. So before you search for literature, you first look at your research question, okay? The research question, it may not be now the information retrieval search specialist who is going to help you with the research question. You as a content expert, and maybe your supervisor should be able to refine, because you know what you want to find out. You know the problem that you want to address, isn't it? So the librarian will just take on from there, work with you to refine and define the research question if it's not refined already. Then you break down the question into concepts. Those concepts may be PICO, PICOST, and I believe, I think I heard Dr. Chan yesterday talk about PICO, PICOST. Yes, PICO stands for population, intervention, comparison, and outcome. And the ST is sometimes we want to include the setting or the time period. So you can add the S and the T depending. For example, if you're doing research, if your review is on treatment of hypoglycemia in children, and you want to look at the papers that were published between 2020 and 2023, already that period, you have to, in your PICO, you have to include the T, which is the time. And if the setting, if for example, you want to look at children that maybe were treated in Mulago Hospital or in Uganda, then it means Mulago Hospital is your setting. But some reviews are global. You can do a global review, so you don't need the setting, you don't need even the time period. That's why I put a stroke ST. So ST, you can just add it there, depending on what you want to answer. Then think about synonyms and best combinations of key concepts. Identify sources to search. Those are the steps. Compile your search strategy and test it. Run your search. In most cases, when you run a search, you don't do it once and get it. You can run it, pilot it, check it, and it has issues, and you run it again, you revise it, you use different search techniques to make sure that you pick out the results that you want. Then you adapt the search strategies to the different databases. Remember, each search strategy has their own symbols that they use. You find in PubMed, they use an asterisk. You may find in another database, they use either exclamation mark or question mark or other symbols. So for each database, you have to adopt the search strategy that you have developed. The concept will not change because you picked the terms from the research question, but the symbols may change. So you cannot just copy a search strategy from PubMed and you paste it in Web of Science, for example. It may not give you results. You have to first go to Web of Science, look at what symbols, how do they combine these terms? You adapt to that, you put in your search terms and you search another database. So you can run the search. You may need to revise or retest your search. Then you adapt the search strategy to different databases. You run the search. After you have run the search, you find the full text. Sometimes some databases, you run the search and you get very nice results. But when you want the PDFs, they are not there. You find only the abstract. And when you click on PDF, they say pay $20. I am sure you have come across that. Yes. So that one would be something else, because when we are now looking for PDFs, when you search, usually you get those articles that are free online. I would call those ones open access articles that were published in open access journals. Those ones, you can even find them in Google Scholar. You click on PDF and it opens. But then there are those studies that are going to be relevant to your research question, and you cannot access them. Now, that is where the librarian comes in. You can consult the library, you can consult sources. We are going to look at the various sources of literature to include in systematic reviews. It is not only databases. After you have such databases, you can also consult the experts in the field. You can consult authors. Say your paper was published in Web of Science. I can't have access to it. Can I please have it? You know, can you share? Those are the different ways of finding literature to include in the systematic review. Then, of course, when you get it, you manage your information. In most cases, reviewers, researchers have failed to manage their information. You run the searches, you get the studies, you save them on a laptop. The following day, the laptop is stolen and you don't have that information. So it is very, very important that we know how to manage our information. You can back up online. You can, since you are always many in a review, I mean, on the team, all of you can say, okay, let's each of us keep this information. You can back it online. You can give the librarian to keep for you. A lot of ways, but please don't lose information because you decided to keep it alone yourself and something happened to your laptop or even you deleted it accidentally. So that is managing information. So these are the steps that we're going to look at. And let's start with the first one, structuring your search strategy using the PICO framework. And this one I'm just repeating because I know someone talked about it yesterday. Using the PICO, frameworks are used to break up the research topic into key concepts and in the developing of research questions. So that is the PICO, but supporting the development of a well-formulated research question in various disciplines has seen the emergence of a number of frameworks. I think on day one, I remember someone asking that is systematic reviews only done in the health sciences. I don't know if that was answered. I think it was an online participant. Yes, I think the person from Cochrane, Kenya answered that, but I can also add that other disciplines are now doing systematic reviews. Yes, we have actually conducted training at the College of Agriculture and Environmental Sciences here in Makerere. We have conducted training in CHUS is College of Humanities and Social Sciences, also in Makerere, which means other disciplines are also doing systematic reviews, although they started with the health sciences. Okay. So because of that, other frameworks have come up. So there's what we call PICO, which we already know. That one is used in the health sciences. We have PICO with small o, and that CO means context. We have SPIDER, we have SPICE. SPICE and Eclipse are actually used in qualitative reviews, systematic reviews in other disciplines other than the health sciences. So I hope that question was answered, that systematic reviews can be done anywhere, in any discipline. Okay, sometimes the PICO can also be modified, as I already mentioned. There's PICO, there's ST, PICO, ST. There's PICO where we add methodology, that would become PICOP. There's PICO where we add time. I think I've already mentioned the time period. Then there is PIO, which has no comparator. Some reviews, you have nothing to compare. Some reviews, you may have 3-4 drugs to compare, 2 drugs to compare, but some you don't have any comparisons. So in that case, we can use the PIO. And then the PICOC can be used as context, or sometimes this one is used as PIC with a small o. So there are very many mnemonics out there. You need to explore those different frameworks. So let's look at another example of a PICO question. It may be a long one, but let's just read. Is the amount of environmental tobacco smoke exposure in infancy as measured by infant urinary and hair cotinine levels associated with the occurrence of childhood cancer by age 14? So our population here is infants. The intervention is environmental tobacco smoke exposure, and it is being compared with no environmental tobacco smoke exposure. The outcome is childhood cancer. And then I put S in color, a different color, because it's not included actually in the research question, but sometimes your setting is not actually shown in the research question, but it can be shown in the methodology or in the scope of your study. Like you want to do this study in sub-Saharan Africa, it doesn't have to really be in the research question. So the setting is sub-Saharan Africa, meaning you're going to search. When you're running the searches, at the end of your search, you are going to restrict them to only those studies that were published in sub-Saharan Africa. Are we clear? Yes. Our session is going to be the longest. My PowerPoint is going to be the longest, so please bear with me. We need to go through all these things. So let's then look at the search techniques. The search techniques, I would like to know online. How many librarians do we have online? How many librarians do we have here? 1, 2, 3. Only 3. Yes, which is very absurd. You know, all you viewers are going to need the librarians. If you read, how many are online? Here. How many? So if when you have time, you go and read the Cochrane collaboration manual. That manual says that for each review team, you must have an information retrieval specialist. For each review team, you must have an information. Of course, it's not, I am saying must, but it's recommended. It's a recommendation that you have an information retrieval specialist on your review team. Sometimes the reviewers want to be selfish. They want to do it alone. They don't want to bring in the librarians. And when the part comes of searching, they go and look for a librarian and say, please come and search for me this. What you do, you have to start with the librarian from the word go. Because I've told you, the research question, the librarian has an input. Sometimes you want to bring the librarian on board at the stage of literature searching, which is very, very wrong, because the librarian has to also know the background. He has to read through the protocol or maybe the concept to capture the words to use to search for literature. So librarians are very, very important in systematic reviews. So we are going to look at synonyms as one of the search techniques, subject headings, Boolean operators, truncation, abbreviations, proximity searching, and filters and hedges. There are very many out there. I picked the most important ones that we must know. And you know, whether you are, you're going to have a librarian on board or not, you as a content expert, you should be able to understand, to interpret the search strategy. Because then if they think there is something wrong or there is a term missing, you as the content expert should advise. This is teamwork. I don't know if we talked about what kinds of people should be on the review team. Did we? No, not actually the numbers, but the expertise. Because I'm looking, first of all, the content expert. We said that now all the disciplines are doing systematic reviews. So if you want to do a systematic review on livelihoods, children, and whatever in Uganda, you need to get someone who is an expert in that area. That is the content expert. The second expert should be a methodology expert. The methodology expert is someone who knows the evidence synthesis or the systematic review methodology. And I think you had one yesterday. Dr. Chan should have been here. Dr. Kwaro is coming, you'll see him. So those are the evidence synthesis methodologists. Then you need a statistician, just in case you want to include a meta-analysis in your systematic review. Yesterday you covered meta-analysis, and it's not a must that each systematic review must have a meta-analysis, isn't it? So if you intend to do that, make sure that you have a statistician. Now, you must have an information retrieval specialist. That can be a librarian. If you know you can do it and you can retrieve that information with we have all these techniques and skills, you can do it. But in most cases, you reviewers don't have it, don't have all those skills. Who is the other person? The other person. Okay, anyway, those are the main ones that you must have on your review team. And we talked about tie breaking the other day. Like, you must have two people. For example, if you're searching for literature, you may need two information retrieval specialists. Each one searches independently. And they, just like your screening, at the screening time, you need two independent people doing screening so that they compare. And if there are disagreements, then a tiebreaker comes in and solves the disagreement. That one is aimed at reducing or minimizing bias in systematic reviews. I think some of these things are going to be talked about by the next person in the next session, so I will not talk about them a lot. Then we shall also look at Boolean operators, truncation, abbreviations, proximity searching, and filters and hedges. So let's start with synonyms. What are synonyms? Anyone who knows what synonyms are? Yes, because you are seeing the answer. Okay, terms that have the same or similar meanings are called synonyms. Synonyms are very, very important when you're searching for literature. We have to bear in mind that the people who publish or who author that literature are different. Even if it's the same topic, there are going to be different authors that author. If I am doing research, a review, maybe a study on cancer in children, I can call it cancer in children. Another author can do the same topic and call it neoplasms in children. Neoplasms. So that's the database captures those studies where the author called it cancer, and another abstract, other studies where the author called it neoplasms, and another one where the author called it tumors. You know, it's quite a lot out there. We shall see. We need to pick out those words. And I know you'll ask me, but where do we get those words from? There are different ways. We shall see, as we shall see. So I have an example here. What are the environmental effects of conversion of cropland to forest programs in sub-Saharan Africa? So this one, the words that you're seeing up there on top, they are the words that I picked from the title, isn't it? They are the words that I picked from the title. But under each of those words, I have what we call synonyms or related words. So you find under environmental, I have ecological, I have conservational, I have flooding, I have soil erosion. There are many out there. Then under cropland conversion means converting cropland into something else. So we are going to convert it into forests, for example. We can say, so that the related words would be tree planting, Then there would be training as an intervention, training of people how to convert or how to plant trees. Then there is farmer compensation. All those are the interventions, or because the cropland conversion is actually conversion is an intervention. Okay, so all those words that are related to that intervention are under cropland intervention. Then forests. I put forests, but up there we have forest programs. So there is forestry, there is woodland, there is forest land. All those are related to forests up there, our keyword. Then of course, Sub-Saharan Africa, we have over 56, I think about 56 countries in Sub-Saharan Africa. So when you're searching, when you're developing the search strategy, you must include all the countries. If you are focusing on Sub-Saharan Africa, just saying Sub-Saharan Africa may not retrieve every study that was published in Sub-Saharan Africa. So you will have to add, Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, all the 56 must be there. You see? And that's quite a lot of work. So I'm going to tell you how that one has been solved by librarians. That is another example of synonyms. The amount of environmental tobacco smoke exposure in infancy as measured. I think this is a question we had earlier. And our population here, infant, this is what is up, what you can see in the title, but there is also newborn. So newborn is a synonym of infant. Then intervention is one, then comparison. Childhood neoplasia, etc. And of course, the setting is Sub-Saharan Africa, all Africa south of the Sahara, or all the countries in Sub-Saharan Africa. So I want to show you how synonyms can improve your search. Synonyms can improve your search, actually can increase. I started with search one. If you look at the bottom number one, I searched for the word infant. Let's start from the bottom going up. When I searched for the word infant alone, I got 1.3 million. Do you see? Are you seeing the results? Then I said, but other authors called it newborn. They did not use the word infant. So I decided to bring in another synonym, infant or newborn. And do you see the results? Now they moved from 1.3 to 1.5. I continued, I said, no, some authors have called these words differently. So I added infant, newborns, or newly born, and I got 1.537. The lower one was 1.535. So I added over 2,000 studies by just adding the word newly born. Now I went up there, I said, okay, let me add children between 0 and 1 month old. And still I got 1.54. I increased it by about 100,000. So do you see? We are talking of a comprehensive search strategy. If you just go in there and you search for infants, yes, we will definitely get results, but you will leave out a lot of other literature that is relevant to your search query. So that is the importance of synonyms in searching. Let's go to another technique, which is subject headings. So these are index terms that are added to each article by the database compilers. The terms are chosen from a predefined list and it is updated annually. The terms are specific to each database. They can help make subject searches more comprehensive. And we'll be looking at some of the multidisciplinary databases. So you'll find we have also subject headings in other databases like EBSCO. And we have what we call the medical subject headings or the MESH. I think someone asked about MESH on day one. MESH means medical subject headings, and those ones are found in PubMed. We shall have a practical session in PubMed before we do our exercise. And I show you the medical subject headings where you can get terms to search various keywords. Then another technique is called the Boolean operators. Yes. You missed? The meaning of subject headings, eh? Subject headings, yes. You didn't hear? Oh. No, but she's, okay. All right. I will remember to answer that. Ask that. Okay. Okay, yes. Okay, we can answer them at the end. And it's 10. Okay.
I really just needed some more clarification on what the subject headings.
Subject headings.
Yeah.
So if you look at that first one in blue, they are indexing terms. They are indexing terms, but maybe that one will make it even more complicated. They are terms, they are keywords and terms and phrases. That actually, maybe if I can say this, here I'm saying that they are not compiled by the authors, but for those who have published, remember, if you go to a publisher's website, you find author guidelines. And the author guidelines may say that before you submit, make sure that you give 3 or 4 keywords. Have you come across that? So those 3 or 4 keywords that you give actually will help the compilers, the database compilers, to produce subject headings. In most cases, if you're doing research that has been done several times, you find that your keywords are already captured from another author, another study. So when you send those 3 keywords, they look for those ones that may be new out of what you have sent, and they add it to their database as an index term, so that when you are searching, I use that term to find your literature, find your study. Is it any better? Great. So the third technique is called Boolean operators. And these ones help us to combine different keywords, different search terms, different mesh terms, medical subject heading terms, and different concepts. So we use those to combine the terms to develop a search strategy, okay? The basic ones are or, and not. So these are used to either limit, widen, or define searches, and we shall look at examples. So let's first look at, I mentioned that there are mainly 3, or, and not. So let's start with or. Or combines what we call synonyms. The related words. If you're looking for studies on childhood cancer, you're going to say cancer or neoplasm or tumors or, you know, all those related words. They are combined with Boolean operator or, because you want to pick studies that have either cancer in them or that have neoplasms in them or that have tumors in them or those studies that have all of them. Do we get it? So because we are using or, we are actually widening the search. If you remember the example I showed you where I was searching, adding or, and I got more. As I added another or, I got more results. So that is what Boolean operator or does. It widens your search, but it helps you not to leave out relevant information, relevant studies. So if you look at this, that diagram, I was looking for literature that has forest or forestry or woodland or forest land. If you look at those circles now, they call them Venn diagrams. Where do you think my results are? I am looking for studies that have either forest or forest land or forestry or woodland. Who can tell me where my studies, in which circle, that what I'm looking for will be? All the circles. No. All the circles online. Online, what is saying in the middle? Okay. So, and the answer is all. Why? Because I am looking for literature that has either forestry or forest or forest land or woodland or all of those in the studies that I retrieve. So do you see that all widens your search? But what we are talking is coming, the intersection is coming. So or widens your search, but brings in the various studies with either of these. It could have forest and forestry alone. It could have forest alone. It could have all of these words in them. Okay? Sorry. So let's look at the next one, which is Boolean operator and. Now, Boolean operator and is used to combine different concepts. When I say concepts, I mean, I can give an example. Management of malaria in children in sub-Saharan Africa. So what are the keywords there? Malaria, children, management, sub-Saharan Africa. Okay. So if I said, okay, management is going to be one keyword. I can say management or treatment because they are related. But when I come to children, now from management to children, I'm going to another concept, isn't it? There's the concept of management to goes with the maybe treatment or whatever. And the next concept is children or child or newborn, depending on how old the child you're looking at, you know, is. Then from there, I go to the next concept, which is sub-Saharan Africa, malaria. And then malaria or Plasmodium falciparum or whatever, you know, fever, you know, all those related words that are under malaria, but it's the concept is malaria. Then I go to the next concept, which is sub-Saharan Africa. So as I am combining the different concepts, I am using Boolean operator and. But within there, the concepts that have synonyms, I am combining them with O. Is it clear? It will be clear by the time we finish, if it's not. So if you look at this, I picked my first concept, which was forest or forest land or woodland, and combined it with cropland conversion, and combined it with a setting, which is sub-Saharan Africa. So do we see where and comes from? And my question is, in those circles, I am searching for that literature. Where are my results? Intersection. So do you see now here in the intersection, you find studies that have forest or woodland and cropland conversion and sub-Saharan Africa. This small one, okay? So do you see that Boolean operator and limits your results? Boolean operator or expands your results. Boolean operator and limits because it combines the different concepts. Okay. I don't know. Then we come to this one, this tricky one. This one excludes information that has both cats and dogs. Would you understand this diagram? I'm requesting for the database to give me literature on cats. Only. The literature that has cats and dogs, I don't want it. The literature that has dogs, I don't want it. I only want literature on cats. So when I'm searching, I say cats, not dogs. That one is going to exclude those studies where there is cats and dogs, where there is dogs, where there is donkeys and others, you know, but it will give me only studies that have the word cats. Okay. So that is the other Boolean operator or not. And I mentioned there are three, and, or, and not. So those are our Boolean operators. But in case you want to look at all of them at once, that is what you will see. So the and limits to the intersection. Do you see it? The or widens. Everything is relevant. Okay. The not also limits, removes studies that are not wanted. Okay. The next truncation is called, the next technique is truncation. So truncation, we have different work endings and wildcards. When I say different endings, I mean words that end differently. They can start the same but end differently. Truncation finds alternative endings to words. So if you enter the beginning of the word, then end with a truncation symbol, which is usually an asterisk. It will help us to search for example, forestry. When you put forestry, or we put forest and you put that truncation, the system will find studies that were done that have the words forestry. First of all, that has the word forest, forests, forestry, and forest land. Do you get it? So you could as well write all those words, but sometimes there are very many. There are very many, so you have to say, or forest, or forest land, or forest, you know? So you can only summarize that by writing just the root word forest, and you put that asterisk, and the system will bring all those words that start with forest but end differently. Is it clear? So that is how we truncate, and we shall look at examples. So I used truncation to run that search. Again, in PubMed. My first search one, this is not PubMed. I think this is Medline Ovid. So the first search one, it could also be EBSCO. Search one, which is S1, I put in the word forests. And it gave me 436,000. Do you see them? Then I said, okay, let me add all those forests or woodland or forest land or forestry, and it gave me 538,000 plus. Then when I used the truncation in S3, Do you see S3, my search 3? I used the truncation. I just wrote the word forest and put that asterisk. And how much did it give me? It gave me 547,000. And then up in my search for, I said, okay, let me just say forest. I truncate the forest and I also truncate the woodland. And as you can see, the numbers have been going up. Whatever I add, the number keeps increasing. You see? So the final one gave me 563 plus 1,000 studies. So that is how truncation works in database searching. We have looked at so many techniques, but they will help us along the way. So the other technique is called proximity searching. Proximity searching, yes. Why? I wanted to retrieve woodland and woodlands. Yes, yeah. Of course, when you are truncating, yes.
I'm also asking, like, using the Boolean operators, do you use them only in databases or even Google search?
Me, I don't believe in Google, by the way. When you're doing a systematic review, please avoid Google, but you can use Google Scholar. And yes, you can use it in Google Scholar. Okay? You know, you are going to find out later on that when you search Google and you are to export your studies to AP Reviewer, we saw AP Reviewer the other day, or you are to export them to EndNote. It may be a challenge for you. And some of them, you know, Google, most of that information is not even reliable. It's not scholarly. But Google did it for us and gave us Google Scholar. At least we can use Google Scholar. We shall see later how. But you can use the truncation. Google Scholar understands truncation and Boolean operators. Yes. We are going there. We are going there. And I'm not going to recommend because it depends on your study, isn't it? On your area of study. But we shall see.
Yes. Can we, excuse me? Can we truncate before the word?
My librarian's here. Carol, look, can we truncate before the word? I don't know. I have not used
searches of beings.
The word that starts differently and ends the same, it may not be, no, I wouldn't say. Well, you could look for them and see if you can find them, but I have not done that.
Okay.
Can you give us an example?
Human.
Human.
The human being, for example, being, well-being, human being, whatever being, and I put before being to search all the beings.
Well,
no, when I put before being to look at all.
Before being, humans and human and humanitarian. You know, when you put human, it's going to bring humanitarian. By the way, there is something I wanted to mention that I had not mentioned. Now you have reminded me. When you're truncating, you must know what is it going to get out for me. For example, I want to give you this example, quick example. Help. I'm doing research on nursing and midwifery in the tropics. That is my topic. I'm trying to look at maybe how nurses and midwives in the tropics are using artificial intelligence to support patients, to help patients. So I put that word nurse. I want you to tell me which words it will bring. I'm going to write them down. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. etc. So do you think that my topic is on nursing and midwifery and how they use artificial intelligence in the hospitals? Do you think that the nursery beds would be relevant? Do you think that the nurseries would be relevant to my research question? Well, so the thing is, before you truncate, we need to think. Critical thinking skills is what we need now. What is it going to get out for me? It may not have answered your question, but we need to look at it. You can also try to see if you want something, if you want human, for example, you want to truncate human, and you say asterisk being. Or you say human. I think the best way is to truncate after the word human, not before, not truncating the whole word, because it is going to bring irrelevant studies. And you know, when it comes to screening, you may screen 5,000 studies, which is too much for you. And you may find out of the 5,000, only 10 are relevant. We need to know precision and recall. I don't know if my librarians can talk about precision. So when you're searching, we aim at, when you run the search, get few, but out of the few, more of them, a lot of them, maybe more than 50% should be relevant. Rather than searching and you get 10,000 and you find only 10 are relevant. So for us, we're aiming at precision. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah. Now it has become a question and answer session. Can we proceed? Okay.
Yeah.
Ask.
Thank you very much. I was reading somewhere and I found on the keyword that put there two, I don't know whether they call them two transects. I don't know when do we apply that. Like you put in us, then put it there, that transect, then another one.
We are going there.
Okay.
Is that what you mean?
That's what.
Hey. Is it me? Okay. So I hope I will be able to answer that. So when you're looking for, when you're truncating, proximity searching, look for words in the same sentence or within n words of each other. And n means number of words of each other. So it is useful when the vocabulary used to describe your subject is variable. So let's look at soil conservation. If we go back to our forest land, the intervention is soil conservation. Oh, that's the outcome. Soil conservation, when you're searching for literature on soil conservation, the word soil and the word conservation should be together, isn't it? The word soil should be in proximity with the word conservation for you to get studies on soil conservation. So you can say soil conservation or soil under conservation or soil and also conservation. So you can put 2-3 words in each other, but it will still give you what you want. That's what it means. This ADJ means adjacent. So meaning, if you put the word soil and you put 3 words in the middle and you put conservation, it will still give you studies on soil conservation. But if you continue, you finish the whole sentence, you have put soil, you finish the sentence, then you start another sentence, and in the middle you put conservation, you may get very different results. So ADJ means adjacent 3. You can do adjacent 2, you can do adjacent 4. But the more you put, the less the relevance. Is it? It's not coming. Hey. 2?
Stars.
I've
I've ever read somewhere, and when do we apply that?
Oh, I have not come across that. 2 stars.
Yes.
Ah.
I read somewhere, I was searching, and I did not understand it. So
I'm
maybe
going
you-
to ask my fellow librarians
maybe
to
you
help
help
me
me.
here. I have not seen anywhere where we truncate using 2 asterisks at once. Maybe it meant something different, or maybe we need to explore. We go and try to find out if it exists. It may be there and we don't know. Okay. So you could type in soil conservation or soil conservers or soil conserving, or you can even say soil and you put conserve. So we are combining 2 things now. We are combining the proximity searching and also the truncation in one. So it would be soil adjacent to conversion, but then conversion has also been truncated. So we bring conservers, conservation, conserving, you know, all those. So the next one is hedges and filters. The hedges and filters have been, I promised that I'm going to show you something where the librarians have tried to sort out that business of having to write sub-Saharan Africa, and you say, oh, Angola, or Kenya, or Uganda, Tanzania, Rwanda, Cameroon, up to Zimbabwe. What librarians have done, they have developed what we call filters and hedges. So if you went online and searched for a search filter for sub-Saharan Africa, or a search filter for low and middle income country, you'll get it. So the search filter will come but show you this search filter is for PubMed database, this search filter is for EBSCO, this search filter is for this database. So you just copy it and paste it in the database. We get it. So those are called hedges and filters, and we shall maybe look at them also. So they are geographical hedges to limit search to only certain regions, for example, low and middle income countries, sub-Saharan Africa, etc. And that is the source. Then there are study designs. Study design filters to limit search by study design. For example, you want only quasi-experimental studies. It is also there. Then the population hedges to limit search to certain populations, for example, sexual minority groups, etc. So those search filters have already been done for you. So especially the librarians, when you're searching, they have given you a research question, and at the end, you have to focus it to low and middle income countries. I don't know how many countries are in low and middle income countries in that bracket. They could be very many. And it is going to take a lot of your time to search. So just go and look for, you can look for credible sources like the Cochrane, Epoch, low and middle income filters. So you also need to evaluate the source where you pick it, okay? You copy it after you have searched for the other concepts. When it comes to the setting concept or to the low and middle income countries concept, just copy it and paste it in your search strategy, and you search. So we are now going to put it all together. If you remember our first example, environmental or ecological or conservational or flooding or soil erosion. Someone has not asked me, why are you using uppercase for Boolean operators? Have you noticed? So Boolean operators are usually written in uppercase, okay? Even in Google Scholar. So search number 1, there should be a number 1 there on the environmental or ecological conservation and soil erosion. And then the concept number 2 is cropland conversion or tree planting or training local farmers or farmer compensation. So that is, if you are to combine concepts in 1 and 2, you'll use Boolean operator and. So you will say 1 and 2. I'm just repeating what I've already said. Then I am bringing in a third concept, which is forest land, woodland. That would be my search number 4. And then I also combine it with 3 to do 3 and 4. I don't know if those numbers and if that slide makes sense to you. Does it? Why the numbers? Because in the database searching, as we shall see, there will be search 1, search 2. So I am combining search 1 and search 2. They are 2 different concepts with their synonyms. And then when I bring in search 3, I'm going to add and 3 and 4. You can have as many as your database can accommodate, or as many as are in your topic. So we are bringing it together. Remember, we are developing a search strategy, isn't it? So I have brought it together now. The different concepts are represented by the different colors, if you see. And the different concepts are combined with Boolean operator and. Do you notice? Although the synonyms are combined with Boolean operator or. Does that make sense to you? Good. So I can actually copy this and paste it in PubMed and get results, or whichever database. But of course, when we are doing a search, when you're running searches for systematic review, we have to run concept by concept. We have to be very, very systematic, as I will show you. But that is what it would mean. Then there is something that I didn't mention, but at least I mentioned something about running the searches in duplicate, meaning 2 different librarians should run the searches differently and compare notes. So after you have run the searches, after you have developed the search strategy, before you even search, you're supposed to sit with a content expert now and review and look at these searches. Have we included everything, you as a content expert? I did something with the David. I don't remember the topic. Was it about zoonotic diseases? Psychosocial care interventions. Okay, psychosocial, I'm hearing terms now. Psychosocial interventions, cancer patients, I think low and middle income countries. He tortured me, though, that one you saw there. But we had to sit together and look at the words. I combined the words from what he gave me, because he gave me his protocol, his concept note. I combined, but because I wanted to be sure, so I called him and we sat together and we reviewed my search strategy. He added a few words. I actually ran the search and sent him an EndNote library of searches, and he found only how many? A few studies. So he told me, I said, okay, come back. So we went back on the table and we revised the search strategy. You can always revise and revise until you get what you want. So we revised it. And yesterday he was telling me he's very happy because he got most of the studies that are relevant. And he's now doing, where are you now? Where have you reached? Title abstract screening, right? So that is how it is supposed to be done. Systematic reviews are done by teams. Don't just say, I'm going to do it alone because I want to publish alone. You're going to need me at that point. And now for me, I want the terms of reference. You are just calling me as a by the way because you have failed to run the searches. No, I want to be part of it from the word go as a librarian. Librarians, do you hear? Do you copy? Okay, so the peer reviewing of such strategies minimizes errors. It may identify missed terms, as I've already mentioned, and it reduces the risk of bias. We talked about publication bias. So So it reduces bias. And then the other thing before I answer your question, walk away and revisit with fresh eyes. Don't run the search very, very quickly. You say, I want to finish this. Immediately you send it to him. Tell the reviewer that, give me 3 days or 5 days. You come, we review, and then I sit down and rerun and also review before I share. Sometimes they come when their deadline is tomorrow. Those ones I chase. I'm not teaching you. Those ones I chase because there is a lot of work. I know people who have done it know. But I want you to get that from the word go. Those who are starting or those who have already started, that a librarian is very, very important in the systematic review process. You have a question? Yes. Let's do this. You're going to repeat because people online want to hear your question.
Thank you very much. About what you've just said concerning the need to work in teams on systematic reviews, I was wondering if there are graduate students, masters or PhD who have done systematic reviews.
Thank you very much. I'm going to ask David. David, do you think you can answer that?
You are saying to work with the master's students that have done this?
No, if there are master's students or PhD students that have done systematic reviews, then I'll give my answer later.
They are very, very few. Very rare to get. I began this project, actually, Mr. Alice, Professor, I began this project around the May, and I thought I would be through by August. Hey, so it's not easy to get the right people. And now I'm very happy that I'm having you. Yes, thank you.
Okay, so let me answer, add on what he has said. There are students who have done systematic reviews, although they are few. But what I have noticed, I'm going to give an example of Makerere University College of Health Sciences, where I sit. Students, they are not forced, it's not a policy here, but they are usually advised that out of the 3 papers that you're going to publish before you graduate, at least 1 should be a systematic review. And that's what is happening. The College of Health Sciences, you people, I am very, very overwhelmed. That's why I expected the librarians, most of them, to be here so that we do this work together. Because we get people now, and it has started coming across, because at the College of Agriculture and Environmental Sciences, they are calling Alison from the College of Health Sciences, and yet we have librarians here who should be supporting. So I think it is not a policy yet, but it's coming. It has already, how many of you are from the College of Health Sciences? 1, 2, 3, 4. Ask me and you're going to, how many of you are doing PhDs? Are you going to do a systematic review?
I have actually published 3 systematic reviews and meta-analyses.
Wow.
But I was taught by a friend and we have been doing a lot of work manually. So I came here. So I came here to learn the automatic way of doing things, but I've published 3 and in the world's leading publishing houses. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. That's good. I think you can also support me here and there when I'm teaching, So it's not yet a policy here in Makerere, but they are recommending out of the 3 papers that you must publish, 1 of them should at least be a systematic review. And we don't know what comes next. It may be a policy later on, I don't know. And someone had a question. Yes, Carol.
But mine is just a form of advice to, especially if you're a PhD student and you haven't gone deep into your research, it would be very nice to start with a systematic review because it helps you understand and find the gaps that you get to defend your work more other than roaming around. If someone had introduced this to me at the beginning of my study, they would have made my life very easy because I got to know about it after, and it was difficult but when you do it, you get.
Thank you very much. Carol is just completing her PhD. She's a fellow librarian here at Makerere University. So, members, let's finish and then we are going to listen to the online question. Sorry, we are coming. Online people, we are coming. I'm almost done. So once you have developed your searches and you have reviewed and the content expert has said, yes, this is it, then you run the searches. You run the searches. If you are to do it yourself, you can go to the help page and find information on how particular sources use Boolean operators, how they use wildcards, etc. Then you run the search, finally. Now, finding full text articles. Finding full text articles, I've already mentioned, you get a very good article, but you can't access it. We have sources. We have been supported by Research for Life. They are giving us access to some resources, a lot of resources that we would not afford as institutions. I think it is a service for most of the countries in the low and middle income bracket, and most of the African countries are part of Research for Life. So those ones help us also to access some PDFs. Also, there are other sources. People will be having, there is what we call PDF drive. There is what we call, which is this library, the Z library. I believe all of you have sources where you go and get PDFs. But finally, supposing you're going to include 10 studies in your review and you have completely failed, you have even contacted the authors and you have completely failed to get one study. What do you do? I think the best thing to do is for you to report it in the systematic review. As maybe a limitation, or I failed, I was not able to access this PDF. Yeah? Systematic review is about transparency. You have to report even the search, what you have been doing, that search strategy I showed you, we have to publish it with a systematic review. So that is it. So finding full text articles, you need to work with your librarian now at your institution. Work with them to try to find at least all the PDFs that you want for screening. Now, someone asked about the sources, that which databases do you recommend? And I said, I'm not going to recommend any database because all our topics are different. If someone is doing something on health, maybe biomedical research, I can recommend PubMed. But again, remember, in systematic reviews, we are not searching only one database. The Cochrane manual still recommends 3 or more databases for a systematic review. So don't search one and then you add Google Scholar. Google Scholar, I don't add it because I usually search it, but it picks out, it is like a, what should I use it as a check to bring out what I may have missed in the studies. And also, sometimes you want to, it depends on what you want to include, which studies, what is your study design, which studies do you want to look at? If you also want to look at maybe technical reports from the Ministry of Health, you could go to the Ministry of Health website and search for those reports, or you could actually get them through Google Scholar. So Google Scholar is my last, and me, I don't count it among the 3. It is usually number 4 or number 5 to summarize my search, to bring in what I may have missed from the databases. Okay. There are a number of databases. Just the multidisciplinary is EBSCO and Web of Science. The rest are subject specific, as we know, but the institutions have different, they access their information differently. In Makerere University, we don't have access to MBase. For example, we have not subscribed to this. We have not subscribed to Web of Science. You may find in your institution, you have access to these or even more. But one thing I want to tell you is that the databases are very many out there. There are very many. So you can pick from those. I usually, out of those that you have picked, the subject-specific ones, I usually recommend Web of Science because it's multidisciplinary, and also EBSCO. but that depends on your topic. Okay. Yeah. So I told you I would, my PowerPoint would be the longest. So far, I have come to the end of my session. I have an exercise, but before that, I'm going to, let's be fair to the online people. Can you read the questions, or would you want, should I stop and you present them? She read the questions. Okay, let's listen to the online questions.
Or should we start with those who raised their hands?
Okay, those whose hands are up, let's start with those ones.
So the first I can see here is St. John, can you go ahead with your question?
Oh, thank you very much. Oh, I raised my hand.
Can we hear? We can't hear you, John. Is it talking? John, we can't hear you.
Hello.
Hello, we can hear you now. Let's talk.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes, my name is Dr. Desiree. I'm from East Africa, but I'm following it from this side of United States. I'm from Grand Canyon University. I just want to congratulate East Africa for the good job you are doing. And then I just wanted to make a comment on search terms when Daktari was combining the search terms. I think sometimes it's recommended to, when you are combining like two words with the Boolean operators, it is good to put them in quotation marks so that when you are searching, it considers one word. Like maybe it would be good if she's able to bring back the search terms, the combination of search terms. It will be yes. When you are combining, like you have training local farmers, there are three words. Sometimes it's good to put them in quotation marks so that when you are searching it, they are considered as one word. And the other one, someone was talking about Google Scholar. Daktari was explaining well. A Google Scholar is not a database. A Google Scholar is a search engine. So when you are doing a search, it's good to know that it's not a database, it's search engine, the way she was explaining well. Otherwise, I think it's a very good job. Keep it up, team. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That is Desiree. Thank you very much, Desiree. Before I had the next one, maybe can I? Yeah, thank you very much for bringing this out. Now, sometimes, yeah, when you quote, the quotation marks means the exact phrase. So I could use that when I'm searching. If I want, for example, I want the word sub-Saharan Africa to come as that. I can just put the quotes, the quotation mark, so that the system sees that, looks at it as one word. So it will select from those studies where sub-Saharan Africa comes as one phrase, and brings out that. Of course, there you are limiting. Yeah, thank you very much. I did not mention that. And also the other thing maybe I can mention is you see that different concepts are put in brackets. Do you notice? So those brackets open the concepts, closes the concepts, then puts and then you open another bracket for the next concept. I hope this is clear. Okay, the next one.
The next person is Usahon Promise. Promise, can you hear me? Okay, if Promise is not there.
Yes, thank you very much for the opportunity to ask a question. Thank you very much, though. My question is that what's the difference between a modified system? Because I'm also writing a paper now, and I'm told not to do a systematic review, rather a modified systematic review. So I'm privy to be in this class. So what's the difference between a modified systematic review and a systematic review? I've tried to search for literatures to really make me understand the term modified systematic review. I've not been able to lay my hands on that, and I'm not having a good grasp of that. That's my question. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Modified systematic review. Anyone who knows about this? One thing is that, could they be meaning an updated systematic review? You know, that systematic reviews have to keep being updated regularly. So that systematic review that we did 5 years ago, actually today, there is something that we are working on. This one was not a systematic review, but it was an evidence and gap maps. I think Dr. Chan talked about those various evidence synthesis methodologies. So the evidence and gap maps we submitted, I think we published it in 2019, and now we have been asked to update it. I'm not sure whether that's the modification that they meant. I have not heard of the word modified systematic review. I have heard of updated systematic review. And then I have also had overviews of reviews, which I think they mentioned yesterday. You can do a systematic review of systematic reviews. That is called either an overview of systematic reviews or an umbrella review. Yes. I don't know if I've been able to answer. I think you need to also try to explore and find out what it could mean, something that we are not yet familiar with here. Thank you.
The next person is Saha.
Saha?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you for your presentation, Professor. I'm just asking about the source of database. You mentioned a lot like PubMed, Embase, other Squadron library, or even a clinical trials cover. It's a different database sources. But when I search inside, all of them the same. I mean, you said that a Boolean using and or are truncations. For all of them, I can use the same thing. And my question is, if I have a single word and I need to search for plural one, what should I do? And as far as I know, I don't have a lot of knowledge about it, but there is use for brackets, as you said, exclamation mark, question mark, and other functions. But I don't know the function of each one of them. I mean, if there is a way you can explain each one of them, where can we use it, which database source we can use it, it will be good for us. You mean to be more proficient when we search in database sources. Thank you, Professor, again.
Okay, thank you very much, Saha. As I mentioned, there are very many databases out there. If I start looking at this symbol is for this database, this symbol I'm going to take forever. But I can say that in Web of Science, there is something that we can use called near. Instead of at ADJ adjacent 3 that I showed you in the proximity searching, we can use the word near also in uppercase. So we could say infectious near diseases, meaning that we want studies on that have infectious diseases, the word infectious and diseases in proximity of one another. Then there are databases that use a question mark and exclamation mark. I don't know if my colleagues librarians here know, but I think the Cochrane library uses the exclamation mark, and those are wildcards. Maybe something I've not talked about. I think there's something I did not talk about where we could use exclamation question mark where there are different spellings. Different spelling like pediatrics. Pediatrics, there is P-E-D and P-E-A-D. There's the British and the American spelling. So when you're doing that, when you put pediatrics, you can say P, you put one question mark, and then you write iatrics, meaning there is one character. So one question mark would mean that there is one character missing. But if you put two question marks, it means there are two characters missing. So that means you would look for the word P-E-A, so where the one question mark represents the E, and another question mark represents the A, to bring the pediatrics. There are very many databases that use also exclamation mark instead of question mark. I can't have examples right now, but I think the Cochrane Library and the Web of Science are using question mark and the Boolean operator near, in addition to or and not. Do you have anything to add? Yes? Huh? Is it a question or your addition? Okay, your addition. Okay. All right.
Thank you. Yes, thank you, Prof. I was asking, in line with what you've just explained, the very such strategy that we have on the screen, for which database would it apply, for example? Because you clearly stated that we need to develop such strategies for different databases.
Yes, we need to customize such strategies. This particular one, actually, I did it in PubMed. Yeah, in PubMed. But then, of course, if you look at the topic, I already said that PubMed is a biomedical research database. So you may find information there, but it would not be the right database for me because my topic is not, this is not a biomedical topic. So the best place maybe would be the agriculture databases, environmental databases like ADDI, like, which are the environmental databases? Yeah, they are, even EBSCO hosts. EBSCO has, it's a multidisciplinary database. Yes. Some databases, like Web of Science, before the bracket, they put something like TS, like a topic search, TS or TI, meaning title, meaning that you want to search for these words in the title. And I didn't mention that because I want to demonstrate it when I go online, but it puts TI, then equal signs, then it puts the bracket, meaning it is, you are instructing the database to search for these words in the titles of the studies online in that database. You can also say AB, you want to search the title or the abstract or all the fields. If you don't specify, the system is going to search all fields, which is the default setting. So can we have other questions? Should we have a demonstration, a quick demonstration? Okay, I think let's favor online people first.
Yes,
yes.
Then we have on YouTube. Please, do you have your questions there? Sorry, we'll get back to the Zoom.
To the Zoom, okay.
Questions.
Thank you. We have a question from YouTube.
Mm.
Is it possible to publish systematic reviews
without meta-analysis?
Someone is going to answer. I think all of you can answer that. Can you answer that person? Yes, that you can publish a systematic review without a meta-analysis. We said a meta-analysis, from what Dr. Ochan mentioned yesterday, it is a statistical method of pulling together findings, isn't it? So if you don't want to do it quantitatively, you can do it qualitatively. And there you don't need a meta-analysis. Next question.
Thank you. Is it that all librarians that can do search properly? Do they need to get trained like this before they can do proper search?
My librarians. Can you answer? All right. Okay. I can tell you now my experience. I'm not going to say yes or no, but my experience is that I did not study this from school, from class. I did not. I just had to, I attended, I was bold. I attended the systematic review workshops. I attended information retrieval specialist workshops. I attended so many things and I learned these skills. And that is what I'm trying to share with you guys. So that you also take after me, take over from me. But I can tell you that these skills are really relevant, but they are not taught at school, as far as I know, at least for the schools in sub-Saharan Africa. This is not what I know. What we studied at school was the word Boolean operator. That one I remember it in my undergraduate. Boolean operators, I knew it was or, and not. And that was all that I got. But the rest, I just learned them over time when I became a medical librarian. Next question. That's all. That's all from YouTube. Masemonde. Masemonde, are you online? Is Masemonde from Zambia there? Tell her. Masemonde, can you answer that question? I think she's on Zoom. Anyway, let's proceed. She's trying to speak, eh? Okay. If she can't, then let's proceed.
Hi, Mercy. You can speak now, please.
Hello, good afternoon. Morning. I don't know whether it's morning.
Morning, Mercy.
Yes, Dr. Allison, this is a very good good presentation. Yes, I know that most librarians are information specialists and they are able to try and assist, but like Dr. Allison has mentioned, this skill is really not learned in class. We librarians would learn about the Boolean operators, how to search, but going deep into searching and proper getting into systematic reviews, they have to learn, and it is a skill that you learn as you go. But for now, I think I can say most librarians are coming up and they are able to assist in systematic review and conducting a proper searching and search strategy. Thank you.
Wow, thank you very much, Mercy. I know there are librarians online that I know have attained this training and they are very ready to support you guys in Zambia. But we have also supported guys in other countries, like I'm supporting some research teams in Nigeria. So even you can outsource from outside the country. Yes. Now, I don't know whether we should still go here or are there still questions online? Remember, Dr. Kwaro has sent a paper. I don't know if you have seen it. Dr. Kwaro is coming in the next session. He has sent a paper that you must read through before his session. So let's try to summarize this session. I still have to go online. Can you ask? Okay. Okay.
Hello. The first question says, why does global review not need a time period?
Why does a global review not need a time period? Okay. I think maybe you didn't get me well. A global review actually can need a time period. You may say, I want to look at what? Prevalence of malaria in the whole world from 2015 to 2023. Isn't that time bound? Yes, a global review can also have time bound. It can be time bound. But what I said, it can be, I talked about the setting and the time frame. The time frame can be there or it may not be there. That's why when I put PICO, I put a stroke and put TS. So we may have the time frame, we may have the setting. If you must have them, this one depends on your research question, on what you want to find out anyway, and if it is time bound.
The next question says, what do you mean by context in PICO in bracket C?
What do I mean by context?
Yes, please.
Context. Context, I can also look at context as, what should I say? If I'm doing research on, let me say on the learning aids, those facilities that they use in learning, the learning aids amongst students, amongst children in primary schools in Kenya. So what would be the context there? If you can help me. The context can be Kenya, so the context can also be setting. So the context can be setting, but also the context can be actually, the setting may not have to be a country. It may be schools. Just the word schools. If you want to do it in schools, then schools is your setting, is your context. Yeah.
Next, shall we use PO when there is no intervention as well as comparison?
The I, we say the I stands for intervention. So as long as there is I, you'll use the you'll use it. It means that there is an intervention in your study. It's an intervention study. Yes, if it's not an intervention study, you can choose between SPICE and SPIDER. I said I did not want, I'm not going to go through all those, but you can go online and see what SPIDER means and what SPICE means. But if you're using PO, then there should be it should be an intervention study.
Many of them are requesting for explanation on truncation and what does truncating means.
Truncating. Truncating is when you write a root word, there are words that end differently. Now, instead of writing all those words, like for example, although this is not a good one because we said nursery beds are not relevant, but I can use it as an example. Your search strategy is going to be long, very long. If you say nurse or nurses or nurses or nursing or nurseries or nursing mothers or nursery beds, all these, you are going to have your search strategy very, very big. But if you just said nurse and you put an apostrophe on, what they call it, an asterisk, you will have summarized, because that one just in a database will retrieve all those words. I don't know if that is clear, but truncating helps you to, I think truncation is an English word. Yes.
Yes, maybe to clarify on that, we can call it stemming. You get the whole word and you stem the root word of the word and you put those italics.
Yeah, stemming. Thank you very much. So you write the root word and then you truncate. You put that truncation so that the system brings that word plus other studies that have the same words but ending differently. I think that's the best I can explain it. Okay, thank you very much for the questions. Now,
Excuse me though.
Yes.
Can they grab something and come inside while we continue?
Yes, yes. I'm seeing that.
Immediate. Please, let's get coffee, a tea break or whatever. Immediately.
And we proceed.
Yeah, we're not going to have like a break time. Just come inside and we continue. Thank you.
Okay, so as they go, I'm just going to log into PubMed and I show you how to run these searches, how to do it practically.
Okay.
And after this, I'll give you an exercise. I hope we have the time.
Yeah, yes. And,
The exercise.
there's time for it. Yes.
Okay.
And then we have a quiz, pre-workshop quiz from Dr. Kwara.
Yes.
Sorry, I didn't get you.
I was saying, if you open the quiz, you attempt to
Sorry, online participant, just give us 5 minutes to grab a cup of tea and come back. Thank you. We should take some of the questions we've seen from Nafisa, Byro, Oscar. Yes, thank you. Yeah. Man, it's a lot of work. Okay. How is it? How is it? You know what that girl said today? Is it your wife? Your wife? Your wife knows about it in Uganda. I said, when we tried to explain how everything went, she was like, your wife knows about it. I was like, hey, what did I worry? She was like, your wife.
we are going to have a short demonstration. And I have an exercise that all of us must. So I'm going to request, Fortune is going to talk about it later after the demonstration, but we're going to do the exercise and send it to Google Form, Google Drive. Efyong is going to help you with that. So let's start with PubMed. And whether you are from the health sciences or from environmental, from humanities, this is very important for you because it gives an example of how to use those Boolean operators, and you can use the same Boolean, I mean, you can use the same skill to search another database from your discipline. Okay, so for those of you who have not looked at the PubMed database, this is how it looks like. And after you have attended this session, I think we are now advanced. Don't you think? We are not going to do the novice search where you come to this bar and type in a lot of words and you get results. We are going to do what we call advanced search. Are you seeing where the advanced is? So I am clicking on advanced search. And when I click on advanced search, it gives me a different page altogether. And in this page, I have things here. I have, if you click on, you are seeing that the default is all fields. I mentioned all fields. If I do not specify that I want to search for this word in the titles of the studies that I retrieve, then I leave it open. And all fields means the database is going to search the title, the abstract, the body of the work, the references, the appendices. The system will search everywhere. But you may want to be very specific and say, I want where this word appears in the title and in the abstract. We all know that the abstract is a summary of the entire page, isn't it? So if you say I want to search the title and abstract, then you have limited, but you'll have more precise results. Okay? Can we do what? Yes, I can give an example. Let me search for just the word malaria and I leave it as all fields. Malaria, all fields. When you search database PubMed, you have a history. So it's going to save our history and then we can have a look at it. So let me add this to the search query and I search for it. I am searching as all fields. I have not changed anything and I got 111,000 plus results because I asked the system to look for malaria anywhere in the studies. Okay, I'm going to go back and I now restrict the word malaria. The word malaria should appear only in the title or abstract. Malaria. I need you to see what I'm doing. I'm going to change from all fields and I select title or abstract. Do you see it? And I'm going to run the search again. And I want us to see the difference. So the results, this one has given me 94,000 plus studies, but let's look at the history to compare the studies. So search number one is showing that I searched malaria. I did not restrict where the studies will come from. So it searched the entire studies from abstract, from title up to the end, and I got 111,000 plus. But when I restricted it to just the title and abstract, I got 94,000. Now I want to restrict it just to title only, and we see what we get. So I'm just going to select just title, and then I run the search. And as you can see, it has given me 53,000 studies. So do you see? What does this tell you? The way we search, actually, we need to be careful the way we search. And when you look at these 53,000, you find that all the studies that you're going to retrieve, the word malaria will appear in the title. But you may have over-restricted, because you may find where the word malaria actually is not in the title, but it's in the abstract. And that study is relevant to your research question, isn't it? So it is better you do title or abstract, since the abstract is a summary of the entire study. Of course, if you do all studies, if you leave it as all fields, you're going to get quite a lot. You are going to get a lot, meaning your next step after searching, the next step is title abstract screening. So it means you're going to have a lot of work screening, and most of it is going to be, it may be irrelevant. So it is better that you narrow down and you get more relevant, other than leaving it wide open. You get a lot and you have to deal with them, and you still have to pick a few relevant ones, right? So I just wanted to show you how this is done. So let me first quickly go back and show you the mesh database. I talked about the medical subject headings. So on the home page, if you scroll down, you will see the mesh database. Do you see this? Medical subject headings. I am sorry, I'm using a medical database, but it is very easy to use, and you can use the same skills in another database. You can use it in EBSCO, you can use it in Emerald, you can use it in all these other databases. So the medical subject headings are, so I want to get a word. Can you give me a word, for example, that we can search for? A medical term. Cancer? Yeah? Okay, I have searched. Remember, I am now in mesh database. I'm actually within PubMed, but in the mesh database. And mesh database does not give me studies. It is going to give me the mesh terms that I can use to develop my search strategy. Okay, so let's see what it has given us. Now, do you see the results here? It is showing I searched for cancer, but it has given me neoplasms, this one which is in bold. What does that mean? It means that the medical term for cancer is neoplasm. Yes, but remember, the authors are going to use cancer, others are going to use neoplasm. That is why you must say cancer or neoplasm or tumor or malignancies or all those words that, depending, if you're specific on, you want to look at tumors, then you can't use this, you just click on tumors. But if it's general cancer, there are so many different types of cancer, so you have to use this. So let's go there and see. Neoplasms. And if you go down, of course, here they first give you the definition, what is it? And there it is. Then you go down. Do you see the entry terms? Like all these, all those. If you are doing a systematic review of that now general cancer, all those words you have to include them, but you have to use Boolean operator. What? Because they are related, they are all cancer description, isn't it? Yes. They don't hear me. Okay, so those are the entry terms for the word cancer. We have said the word cancer, the medical subject heading for cancer is neoplasms. And down here, there's so many entry terms that you can use when you're searching for cancer. I know someone was going to ask me, how do you know which synonyms to use? There are different ways of finding this. There is that. There is Embase, I think, has what we call M3. Then you can also search for words, by the way, in Microsoft Word. Do you know how to get synonyms in Microsoft Word, type a word, right click on it and click on synonyms, and it will give you words that you can use. Others, the other way you can get terms is by looking at literature, already published literature, and you see what others used, if it is related to your study. Okay? So I think that's the only one I wanted to show you then before I go to PubMed now. And I run a search. So let me go back to advanced, and I want to clear my history. Do you see whatever you search in PubMed is kept for 8 hours? Then it will be deleted. So what we searched is here, but I can always delete my history and start afresh. Okay? So I'm going to use the words that we, yes. They can't hear me? Okay. Sorry. So I'm going to use okay, can I do this? Maybe that helps me. Okay. I have put it in my ear. I'm in trouble. Hey. Okay. Is that better? I put it in my ear. Can you hear me now? Is it better? They are saying no. Okay, can you hear me now? Great. Great, great, great. So let me pick the words that we have used in the words that we have used in the presentation. They're the ones that I want to search for. Okay. Copy. So I decided to use PubMed because it is free, it is open. If I went to let me say to EBSCOhost, it means I have to go to the Makerere, because this is not a Makerere University, this is not Makerere Internet. It means I have to go and log in into the Makerere, it is. I have to go to MyLoft, but now, yes, but that would mean I have to look for another data. Let me use this one, then we can always go back and use EBSCO or Research for Life. Okay, so I'm going to first put in, if you remember the topic, environmental or ecological or conservation or flooding. This is the topic that we have been using since morning. And I'm going to, this time I want to search the title and abstract. So I'll add it to the search query. And this is what it is showing me. It is showing me that we are going to look for these words in the title and abstract of the studies. So I'm going to run the search. Yes, I have run the search and it has given me 753,000 plus studies, but that is just one concept. Remember, I said that with systematic reviews, we are going to search concepts separately and then combine them with Boolean operator. And so that is my search. It's now in the history. It is saved in the history. I'm going to go back and pick another concept, which is cropland conversion. and I also paste it there, and I select title abstract, and I add it to the search query, and I run the search. It has given me 568 studies. Now I'm going to combine concept 1 and concept 2 before I go to concept 3, okay? How am I going to do this? I'm going to go to my search history and look at concept 1. I click here, I add it to the search query, and I go here, I use Boolean operator, and so it has combined both concepts here, and I run the search. And I have 179 studies. I am having fewer studies because, why do you think I'm having fewer studies in PubMed? It's a biomedical database, and I am bringing in something with the environment and agriculture. So selection of databases is very, very important. When you know your topic, first think of which databases am I going to use. But let's proceed. Because at one point we may even get 0, because those studies are not there in this database. But let's proceed. Now, the next one is forests or forest land. And someone talked about quotation, like using phrases like, if it is, let me see, cropland conversion, you put it in quotes. It will bring those studies, but they will be limited because you will only bring where those words are together. But this one, when you open it, that is proximity searching. You can search where in between the word crop and conversion, there may be another word. You get it? So I go back to advanced and I search. And I may say that for this particular one, sometimes we have to make decisions. I may say that for the forest, there are certain words that are very, very key, isn't it? When you get the key terms, you may get words that are very, very key that actually you want them only in the title. Then there may be those ones like maybe Sub-Saharan Africa, you can leave it open. Even if the word Sub-Saharan Africa comes in the title or in the abstract or in the main text, it is okay. So you have to make some of those decisions. So I'm leaving forests and forestry, woodland. If I leave it as all fields, I will definitely get more. I could do title abstract, but for the purposes of our exercise, our demonstration, since this is not the right database, we may get 0 later on. So let me just leave it as all fields. And then I run the search. It has given me 244,000. And then now I go back and add the concept for forestry. I add it to the other first 2 concepts. So go back to advanced, get the 568. This is a combination of the first and second concepts. No, sorry, number 3. Number 3 is a combination of 1 and 2. So I'm going to get 1, I'm going to get 3, add it to the query, and add the other concept, and I run the search. It has given me 80. Okay, so as you keep adding, they keep reducing, isn't it? As you add concepts, it reduces. So you may end up like, if you have like 20 studies, for example, in PubMed, remember, you are going to have to search 3 or more databases. So you may get 50 in PubMed, you get 100 in EBSCOhost, you get 150 in Web of Science, you get 50 in EBSCOhost, and you combine all. Of course, some are going to be duplicates. So for those of you who have seen who have gone through the system, you have to deduplicate before you start screening. Okay. Yeah. So let's proceed. Yes. I was putting what? Parentheses.
Yes.
Okay. The system needs to know where the concepts stop. The concept for the word environment with its concepts, where they stop. That should be concept number 1. Okay. So you separate it from the next concept and you combine them with Boolean operator and. Otherwise, if you don't put a parenthesis, let me say that it is ending with cropland. Let me see. If you don't put it there and it ends with cropland, then you just put and. You bring in the next concept. It may consider just that last word. But if they are there, it considers those and the next concept. Hope that's clear. So we have 80 studies, and because of time, let's look at this. We could also add Sub-Saharan Africa. Let me add it and see. Saharan Africa. Or SSA. Or of course, I will not finish them. We don't have time. I would have to write all the 56 countries, 56 or 52 in Sub-Saharan Africa. So I'm going to do this. So let me add it also to the search query and search for it. And it has given me 308,000 plus studies. Now I have to combine it with the 80. The risk I'm running is that the 80 are few. I may get 0, but let's run and see. Let's continue and see. I'm going to add this to the query with Boolean operator and to bring the Sub-Saharan Africa concept. And I run the search and I have only 7 studies. Okay, so if you have done it very well, those are the 7 studies that you're going to send that this is what I got from PubMed. Okay, please don't ask me how many studies are recommended, because you know that is a question. Do you want to ask? Can you answer this? In eligibility criteria? No. Okay. I cannot tell you how many studies are eligible, are required, or are recommended, because if it is a topic on COVID, compared to a topic on malaria, you definitely expect a lot of studies on malaria than COVID. Although when COVID also came, everyone wanted to write about COVID. You may find that it's out a lot out there. But malaria, which is our old, it started long ago, really. Or HIV and AIDS.
You can limit by years by using current years or recent years.
Okay.
I think she will show it. She will show it.
All right, so you can limit. Actually, I also wanted to reach a point where I'm going to limit the studies. Now, these 7 studies, according to this graph on your left, they were published from 1990 up to 2023. If you have the time period, if you want to add the T in the PICOT, so that it becomes PICOT, it means you have to have the time frame. So you may say, okay, let's take the past 10 years. That is from 2013 to 2023. I can limit it from here. I just drag this up to 2013. and I release, and there are 6 studies, okay? Now, these 6 studies, I may say, okay, out of these 6 studies, in my systematic review, I don't want any systematic review. Remember, you are not going to have a systematic review in your systematic review unless you are doing an umbrella review, isn't it? So let's eliminate the systematic reviews if they are there. Oh, we could actually say, let's look for those studies where there is what? Let's say we need clinical trials. If you click on clinical trials, it should give you only the clinical trials out of the 7. And it is saying there is only 1 clinical trial. It has even opened it. Do you see? So on this side of the, on this side, I should go back to public, sorry. Let me open a bigger one. On this side, there are what we call filters. You can filter your studies the way you want. You can start by year, you can go say we need only abstract, we only need studies that have free full text. We only need maybe meta-analysis, or we want observational studies for our systematic review, or we want RCTs, all these. And then the publication dates are also here. You can customize, or you can use this graph up here. And there are even additional languages. You can say, I want only those studies in English language. What would that mean if we say, I'm going to do only studies in English language? They will reduce, but that is language bias. Very soon, Dr. Kara is coming. She's going to talk about all those very many biases: language bias, attrition bias, publication bias. So in systematic reviews, we are trying to minimize those biases. So if you know, if you really are doing a study in Uganda, you can limit by English language. But supposing you are doing a study on sub-Saharan Africa, or even in low and middle income countries, we have those studies that will be in Spanish, in French, in Portuguese, you know? So if you limit, that will be a language bias. So you have to think before you limit. Okay. Do you have any questions? That's what I had for this demonstration. A few questions. We are going to pick 3 questions from physical and then online 3 questions. You have that time? Yes. And we stop there. How do I choose?
Thank you, Prof. What about, you talked about filtering by way of allowing only free full text articles. So what happens to those that are protected and I have no means to access them? Am I not bound to be disturbed by peer reviewers if for them they can retrieve and send them to me and say, why do you leave out this or that?
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. So when I did that, I was actually showing you the various filters. But with a systematic review, you cannot say that I want only those ones that are full text, free full text. That is already selection bias. I keep talking of the various biases, but you'll see. I think maybe I shouldn't have shown you that, but I was just showing you the various ways, the various filters, but I did not mean that you can filter to only those that are open source when you're doing a systematic review. No, that's not right. Number 2. Yes.
How do we store our searches before we transit to another database?
Before you transit to another database. Now, something that I have to show you, which in the package of systematic reviews training, there should be reference management. You're either using EndNote or Zotero, or we talked about AP Reviewer yesterday. Was it yesterday? the first day. From here, I can change them in that format that he talked about. I can change them into RIS format, research information service format, and I export them into AP Reviewer. That is one way. The other way is to send them to EndNote or Mendeley or Zotero. Okay? But there is one thing that I have not shown you, which you must know. Out of this, you may ask, okay, these are studies, we have picked them. Can we know how to download the PDF? Yes. I have picked on one, and let me hope that I'm able to access this. So I'm seeing full text article. It is published by Elsevier. Let me see. So I go there. Okay, so this particular one, I don't see where the PDF can be. This is actually it, but I only need the PDF. Purchase. Do you see where the PDF is? They are saying purchase. If they were not saying purchase, you would click the PDF and the PDF will open. Remember that next step is title abstract screening, and the next step after title abstract screening is full text screening. So the studies that you're going to include, you must read them, you must look at them and extract data. So you need the PDFs. There's no compromise there. So if you don't find this, now, if I was the systematic reviewer, I would start calling the librarian. How can I get this? Sometimes it is very, very important that when you collaborate, you get people to co-author from different countries. You may find that different countries are accessing various databases. You may not access this database in Makerere or in Uganda, but a university in Kenya, if you have a colleague there who has the same in the same area, you can say, can we co-author so that you help me get these papers? You can also ask librarians. You can also write to the authors if you can't get it. You can also, there are so many ways. You have to try and try and try. When you have failed completely is when you document it that, you know, I was not able to access the PDF, but you should not do that until you have failed to get it. Now, we had said 3 questions.
So I was saying that mine is just on that. When you click and they're saying maybe you need to purchase, sometimes we were told you can just highlight on that heading. I highlight that heading, you copy. After copying, you open what we call Sans Hub. You paste the heading on the Sans Hub. The Sans Hub will be able to give you that article for free. If they have it, they can give it for you for free before you begin consulting maybe the librarian. So you can go back to the text, you highlight the heading, you copy and paste it in Sans Hub. They will bring the full article to you. Yeah, like that. Thank you.
Okay. I actually also, thank you very much for bringing out this. I wanted to say it. It has actually brought it. But Science Hub does not have everything. That one you should know. So Science Hub is bringing it now, or the Z library. Have you heard about the Z library? You can get from the Z library, you can get from Sci-Hub, you can get from other sources. So what I'm saying is you can also ask the author. So after you have failed to get it through all these means, after you have failed to get it through all these means is when you can document that you did not get this article. It should be the last option. Yes. So there is our PDF. Now, the questions that were supposed to be 3 are becoming 20. Now, let me go in order. I think this one. Very quick.
Thank you, Professor, for the wonderful presentation. I have 2 issues. In your presentation, you talked about we should not leave any legible study.
Yes.
I've seen that is possible with PubMed following the procedure given us. What about when I'm dealing with Google Scholar, where you have pages, endless pages? That's one. The second item, I stand to be guided here. The number of studies, for example, I may be interested in some study, but there are few studies in it. Do I drop it in a semantic review or I go on with that study? And finally, the issue of time. For example, I'm doing a STEM study. I want to do a study, but maybe from 2000, and maybe 19, they have done it. But there are many studies available from maybe 220 to 223, maybe 15 months, because I've specified 23 not over. Do I go ahead with that, or there's also a time framework? Thank you.
Okay. So let me start with the last one. The last one, there's what we call protocol development. Have we done protocol development? Did we go through it yesterday? I don't remember. The protocol guides you through and through. The protocol is like your research, the proposal. You have to follow your protocol. The protocol is like a guide. You get? So if you're saying, I am going to look at studies which were published from this time to this time, according to your protocol, you're not supposed to change. But I think protocols are also not made in stone, cast in stone. You could go back and say, because of this A, B, C, D, I was not able to get studies, so I changed. You can always change in a protocol as long as you document it and it is indicated, it is very clear. Is that one answered? The second one is about Google Scholar. Google Scholar, when I told you Google Scholar has issues, it gives you studies, but you will put in the same terms. First of all, Google Scholar cannot accept all these such terms. It has a limit. Meaning, if you have so many terms on cancer, those mesh terms that we saw, you have to pick maybe like 2 or 3 to be able to combine them with the concept of management or treatment, to be able to combine them with the management, Uganda, I don't know, we said sub-Saharan Africa. If you just got all those terms of cancer and you put them there, even if you added the treatment of malaria and children and Uganda, Google Scholar will just cut. At one point, it is going to reach, it may cut even before the cancer terms are finished. Meaning the results you're going to retrieve are not going to be the right results, the correct results, because you have used one concept. So what you do with Google Scholar, I sit down and I summarize. From this concept, I'm picking cancer and neoplasms. From this one, I'm picking treatment and management. From this one, I'm picking child or newborn. From the other one, I'm picking just the word sub-Saharan Africa. If I add all those, it will not fit in Google Scholar. So now you have combined them and you have searched and you get 1 million. Now, Google Scholar, the studies are arranged according to relevance. The first page are the most relevant. So as you go to the next page, relevance reduces. The last page is not, it may not even be relevant at all. So I will just share with you what we usually do, but we have to document it. So as in addition to the other databases, we search to Google Scholar, and because it is the studies are arranged by relevance, so we picked the first 5 pages. And that is what we screened. We imported into EndNote to screen, to do title abstract screening. You had another question. What? But you have asked many questions. You are unfair.
I was talking about the time framework.
Time framework.
Research has been done. Ethnometry has been done in an area. That area maybe say East Africa or Uganda, but between maybe 2020 maybe to 2019 or to 2019. But the other studies I need to have to combine into a single study to reform policy. And I'm only left with like 4 years. Is that allowed or I drop it? That's what I talked about.
It is going to be allowed if you mention that because you are deviating from the protocol now. you can allow it, but you need to explain. It depends. If, for example, it is WHO that has given you that assignment, and you have submitted your protocol already to WHO, you're going to go to WHO and say, please, because of ABCD of what I found in this, I can't find these studies. So I'm requesting that I add studies from this year. They will say yes or no.
Okay.
If they say yes, you go ahead because they are now the ones funding you.
Okay.
Yes.
Then finally on the same, in terms of the number of articles, suppose I choose that time framework and I've written them, but the number of articles are few. Is there a minimum so that I can go on, or I just drop the other systematic review?
I have seen systematic reviews of only 5 studies, and I have seen systematic reviews of 50 studies. So that one, there is no limit on the numbers. And the numbers may be justifiable depending on whether the research has no, whether it's a virgin area and it has not been researched upon, so the studies are few, whether there are so many explanations, you know. Now, you are the last one, I hope, in this room. Then we go online and we call it a session.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you, Prof, for the wonderful presentation. However, mine, I just have, I think it's an amateur question. How fast do you read these articles, and do you have a method of reading these articles very fast?
I like that. So, yes. First of all, when we are doing, there is what we call the data extraction tool. When you are designing the data extraction tool, you will say, I want the author of this study. It's like in Excel form. The author, the date of publication, maybe the citation. I want to look at the methodology and see what study design they used. So study design is another column, blah, blah, blah. Findings, conclusions, recommendations in your Excel sheet. So for you, when you go to the study, you may not have to read word paragraph by paragraph. You can copy and paste the title. You copy the authors and paste them there. The date of publication, you paste in the Excel. Then you go to the methodology. Where it is not clear, you can read further. But go to the methodology and see, this was a quasi-experimental study. Then you pick quasi-experimental study. Then you go to the findings. What was the main finding? You pick the main finding. And what was the recommendation? You pick the recommendation and you put there. For me, I think you don't have to read word by word. It will take you 10 years. Okay? Yeah, so you need, I think there is something about scholarly writing that you need to do. There is also, when you are doing data extraction, I don't know who is data extraction on the program? Because it's the next, very good. They will answer your question better. Now, can we go online? Online, and then we are done.
So someone asked, can I use AJOL? I think AJOL is African Journals Online. Yeah, can I use AJOL to search for research articles based in Africa?
Yes, the answer is yes. Okay. How about?
Can I use AJOL, African Journal Online, to search for research articles based in Africa? And Professor said it's yes.
Yes, yes, you can. You know AJOL? African Journals Online. It's another database of African literature, of literature published in Africa, about Africa. And you have another one? Is that what is on YouTube? Okay, I'm waiting for you. Okay.
Professor, people want your contact.
They want to?
Many people have been asking for your contact.
Contacts.
So we are going to take the first online question from Nafisa.
Nafisa, please talk.
Hello, thank you very much for your presentation. I have two questions. The first question about dimensions, if you heard about it. It's like a platform and it kind of database. It has a lot of publishers, repositories, and other things. But through reading systematic reviews, studies, I haven't like passed through anyone who mentioned that they use it. So I want to know if it is acceptable to be used in systematic review or not. My other question is about Science Hub. Since we know that it's illegal, is it possible also? Because it's kind of misconduct.
Kind of get that. But did you get what he talked about Science Hub? Sci-Hub? Can you attempt? Give me. Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Sci-Hub is illegal, you are right. And I'm happy that Professor did not brought it on board until someone mentioned it. The global publishers are battling with Sci-Hub and many other avenues to access their protected literature. So yes, we use it, but it even carries heavier litigations if you are found encouraging it in front of huge audiences like this one. So I would request if Professor can take it off, the better as the savior may see it and come for Makerere. Thank you.
Okay, so you have heard that one is illegal. Although, of course, now once you have gotten this one, I'm not saying that you should do this because it's not allowed. Actually, me, I had not put it in my databases, if you noticed. But you know, there are many ways. You know that there is a saying that, but this saying now is in my language. You will not understand it. Okay? But if you have, when you have failed to get things anywhere, studies anywhere, if there is a way you can pick it somewhere.
Prof.
Yes, I will not say that. Now she talked about dimensions. I have actually heard about dimensions. I don't know if any one of you have you heard about dimensions? Try to search for it and get it. I think it can also be used, but I would not use it as one of my databases still. You know, we have databases that are known, scholarly databases. Those others, I don't know whether dimensions is for systematic reviews. Artificial intelligence. Now, there is something that I've not talked about that I must talk about. Let me remember it as. I think we are supposed to stop now.
Can I say something before that?
Oh, please, the next question comes from online.
From online.
Okay, great.
About the Sky Hub, I know everything like Prof has said, and the
Rogers, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me now?
Go ahead with your question.
Yes, thank you so much. I am called Dr. Rogers from Uganda. And I thank you. I thank the facilitator.
Rogers, we have lost you. Rogers, you are muted. Can you unmute? Can you
Yes,
unmute?
do you,
Can we hear you?
do you hear me now?
Yes, we do.
Okay, yeah, so I just wanted to comment on, there's a colleague who was asking of how best we can read the articles and we quickly pick up the information. There's an AI tool that has really helped me, and I think other colleagues can also try it out. It's called Chat PDF. I don't know if anyone has interacted it. You just type in chatpdf.com, then you upload the PDF, and then you can quickly request for the specific information you want from the PDF. Then to give you, then you can extract and analyze. Yeah, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much, Rogers.
Thank you.
Now, Chat GTP, Chat PDF, that is artificial intelligence. I'm not yet used to artificial intelligence. So for me, I have shown you the scholarly databases that we all use, but if you find a way of getting it, you can get it, but please bear in mind that what this gentleman has talked about, let's just be ethical. Let's just be ethical, but I will stop here. I'll stop here.
All right, that ends the question and answering session. Thank you very much, Professor Allison. Please, do you have a final word for us? Oh no, we have so many questions, hands raised up, so.
Is him, eh? So should we proceed? But you have not talked about the quiz. Not a quiz, actually. I have an exercise for you. I wanted you to do the searches, but we have to make sure that you do it because we are going to give you a certificate after we receive your response. No, you are not going to do it now. He's going to create a Google form and send to you. I'm going to send you the research, the exercise. You can write it down and do it at your convenience because we don't have much time now.
Oh, is it okay to search for one database like PubMed? And suppose that I get it and
No. Yeah, PubMed is an index, by the way. PubMed indexes from here and there, but it doesn't cover everything. That's why I even mentioned, I think I said the Cochrane collaboration, the Cochrane manual for systematic reviews recommends 3 or more.
Can you get that?
It's online. Yeah, it should be online. It is restricted?
Yes.
Hey, I used to have access. I don't know what happened. Yeah.
There's some lightweight that if you wish to get access to some chat.
Hey. So he can share with you. Since we are now sharing, let's forget about ethics now. And if you can share with everybody. Okay. Yeah, it should be, there should be a way you can access it. And that manual has, it is very comprehensive, I should say. If it is about identification of studies and searching, comprehensive, coding, all those appraisal, everything is there. Maybe we can, I don't know if our colleague who presented first from the Cochrane, Kenya, she may be having access. She could help us if we contacted her. Do we have anyone online? Should we stop?
We have Adekule.
Oh, yeah.
Adekule, are you there?
Thank you so much. Thank you. Yes, I'm there. Thank you so much, Prof. This is highly appreciated, and I've learned a lot. I thought I knew how to search, but I have found some new ways of searching. And thank you so much once again. Now, mine is not in form of question. It's just I just want to throw some light that may help some colleagues, or some of our colleagues, as regard this issue of systematic review. Like I said, I am so conversant with scoping review, but you realize that scoping review and systematic review, there are a lot of similarities between those two, especially when it comes to our methodologies. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is about the number of articles, because I heard most of the participants asking for the number of articles. What I want them to just realize is that they should note that by the time you do this rigorous search and put everything into this manuscript, you want to have it published. So what you should always be at the back of your mind is that you are going to be questioned. You're going to be queried. So what really matters, what you should really concern about is how extensive have they gone with their search. Like the last publication that I have submitted, the last manuscript that I submitted, what I did was that I made sure that I did searching extensively by using like 5 databases. And so what I did eventually, when using this, I not Google Scholar anyway, I used Scopus, PubMed, EBSCOhost, and Medline, and I'm trying to remember the 5th one, but actually there were 5. So it was extensive search. So what I did eventually was, because I'm very, very used to EndNote. So I used EndNote to deduplicate those the articles so that I could arrive at substantial number of articles. And by the time the reviewers, because I actually submitted it to BMC, by the time the reviewers checked through, they were satisfied with the search that I have made. And one thing we should note is that, like the presenter, professor said, you see, all these things are going to be clearly defined in your, there's what we call Prisma flow diagram, as in that will show how you have gone about your search, how extensive you have gone about.
Wow, we've lost you.
Of PDF. Sorry, am I audible enough? I'm trying to be fast because of time. I'm sorry. When you're going to retrieve articles that are meant to be sold, please don't try to use Science Up. I ran into a problem like that. So as a not problem per se, but like a brick wall, that all I have to do was I have to now write the authors, and 4 of those authors, they gave me their papers. And those ones I could not get, I went through UKZN library, and the librarian, they had to buy those 2 that I could not get. So what I'm trying to say is that because these things are going to be published, we should please make sure that I endeavor to do everything in the ethical way, legal way, because if I find out that something I'm supposed to sell is there and you've referenced it, I may have to query it, and that may even lead to your work, the hard work you've put into it, it may lead to that particular article if published to be retrieved, and you wouldn't like that. And that's all I want to say. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. So, colleagues, I'm not going to add on this, but all I can say is that let's be ethical in what we do. And you know, there is something that I could say. When you click on a paper and you have no access, please pay $20. It may be cheaper for you to pay $20 than being unethical and you are caught, and then you know what happens. That is 1. 2, with systematic reviews, I think we need to maybe start this habit, not start, but continue with the habit of being a teamwork. We could get projects. When you get projects, usually they say, please write your proposal and attach a budget. When you're budgeting, please don't forget about access to databases. It's very, very important, because you're going to reach there. Nobody is going, I mean, you have tried and you cannot find some PDFs. So when you're budgeting, you can say, okay, let's also budget for databases. If it means buying some studies, you can pay $20 per you know, those ones that you want to include would not be as many as those ones that you search for. So if you have failed to get 2 or 3 or 4, you could actually pick from your budget and pay that $20, and you have your access and you proceed. It's very important.
Hello.
There's another one, eh? Yes.
Hello.
Hello. Please talk.
Yes. Yes. Good afternoon. This is Jacqueline. I'm from Kenya, Uzuma University, Kenya.
So that name is Jacqueline. Huh?
Sorry.
It's okay. You continue, Jacqueline. You talk.
Yes, I just have a few concerns from the explanations you've given. I think that the biggest task we have to do is to find a team that can give us a team that get the best results out of someone who is in a place who is not always in contact with people. How are you able to identify a team that is competent so that you can be able to come up with good reviews over time, not even 1 or 2, but a team that can work together over time to come up with very good reviews. At that, we talked about the hedges and filters. Sub-Saharan Africa. But if we talk about, for example, a geographical hedge, and you're interested only in papers that have, for example, Sub-Saharan Africa in their titles or whatever, aren't we going to leave out that other information?
Thank you. Is it okay now? Jacqueline, can you hear me? Hello, people online, can you hear us?
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you.
All right. Now, the second question of hedges and filters, there's a way somewhere the line broke and we didn't hear it well. You are going to repeat it. But for the review team, I will not say go here and find a review team or go there and find a review team. The review team depends on the topic, isn't it? Of course, the topic for the content expert, but the other ones, the research methodology, I mean the evidence synthesis methodologies, the information retrieval specialists, the biostatisticians, those ones you can find them. But for the topic, you need the expert in that topic, in that area of study. That's what I can say. Now, I can just give you some few hints. Maybe the librarians, I am on a group called Information Retrieval Specialists Working Group. And they always they say there is this study by WHO, anyone who wants to do the search, and we have gotten work there. You know, you go, you say, yes, I want, and they send you the work, the terms of reference, and you do the work. So you could try to join such groups. I don't think you can fail to get those groups. Here in Makerere, if you came to the Africa Center and you asked for some specialists, of course we are overwhelmed, but we can support. If we cannot say we are going to do it, we can always refer you. That is one. Those in Nigeria, you can go to their center, that one. African Community for Systematic Reviews and Meta-Analyses. If you are in Kenya, you can contact the Cochrane Kenya. So they are scattered all over. You can find people to be on your team, especially those cross-cutting ones like the librarians, the statisticians, and the like. Jacqueline, I need to hear again about hedges and filters. I didn't get this question properly.
If she's not there, can I ask my question?
Yes, you can, as Jacqueline responds.
Okay, yes. So my name is Oscar from Ghana. My question is topics that has to do with impacts. Do we have to include impact as our keywords or not? Because when I look at the question you put on the page, developing a keyword is one of the first steps. So I want to find out from you whether impact is also a keyword to be considered. Thank you.
Thank you very much. There's something you have reminded me of that I did not mention. When we are searching, when you get your topic and you start picking out your keywords, there are those keywords that we call stop words. Are they stop words, librarian? That we call stop words, and there are those ones that are keywords. Now, for example, if you are looking at One Health in Uganda, you are looking at animals and animals and what? And human beings and the environment. The word impact does not add value. The word impact will not add value because if you put in those other terms, those studies with impact, but which have those words will still be retrieved. So there are words like is, like for, like, implementing ABC, like factors affecting. Those ones are not adding value to our search. So you need to look at the terms and see which ones must be there.
Okay.
And those ones are just combining the keywords to make meaning to a sentence, maybe to a research question. But whether you add them there or not, they will not add value.
Okay.
You also have
Thank
to have.
you.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Professor Allison, for this wonderful session. This will be the end of the session. For those who have more questions, we have shared the question box on the chat box. Keep your questions coming, please. Professor, do you have a final word for us? Thank you.
Okay. The final word is, I would like to encourage, I will first talk as a librarian. And I'm going to emphasize that again. Systematic reviewers, you're supposed to work in teams. There are areas where you will not handle that work if you are just working in silos. If you decide to work as just the systematic reviewer, you may reach a point and you get stuck. Okay? So please work as a team. Include the librarians, but also include on your team, include those people who are going to add value to your review. Don't say I'm going to include this because she's my colleague in the office. Add people who are going to add value, because at the end of it, when you look at a systematic review, I forgot we should have looked maybe at an example of a systematic review. Down there at the end, they say contribution of authors. Okay? Contribution of authors. Allison did run the database searching, developed a search strategy, and ran the searches. Dr. Moses Ochan developed maybe the Prisma flowchart. This one did the screening. The other one did the coding, data abstraction. The other one wrote the paper, wrote the method section, wrote the conclusions, the findings. The other one did a meta-analysis. Do you see? So you need to pick people who are going to add value. And they have to be acknowledged, but also their contribution has to show in the systematic review. Okay? You can have 2 or 10. I have seen systematic reviews that have been published by 20. I think the numbers don't matter really. They can be 20 or 50. The important thing is there will be the main author and others could be the PIs, the co-authors, it doesn't matter. And also the other thing about librarians, Because when you look at the systematic review process from the start, refining a review question up to the end, librarians are supposed to be part through and through. So then why do you want to give them $500 and they go away and you don't co-opt them, you don't make them co-authors? But of course, it depends on what they have put in. If someone just ran the searches and threw them at you, you can contribute, you can give him something, or her, they can even do it for free. But if someone has done a big contribution, has made a big contribution, make them co-authors. Thank you. Contacts. Oh, my contacts. Okay. Okay. I think that is all I can say. Well, I think that the class was very, very interactive. The online group, and here I'm so happy. I'm humbled. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, everybody. Can you hear me, please? Those online. Oh, okay, awesome. You see, we initially scheduled this session for like an hour, but we've spent up to 3 hours, and we could possibly have stayed up to 6 hours or 12 hours. Meaning, maybe next time we will do a systematic review course for a month. So it will be 1 day per session. Thank you very much, Prof. Alison. It was really engaging. Unfortunately, we cannot take all the questions, but then there is a question box, and we'll tell you later what the plan for the question box is. So if you have any question, please just chip it in there. We'll definitely do something about it. So we have shared Prof. Alison's exercise. It's like a quiz. That's a quiz. So if you go through our slide, I don't know how many of us have received the email. Yes, everybody, thank you. So we have received the email. If you go through our slide, I think towards the end, you will see the exercise. So what we have to do is to prepare a Microsoft document with answers to those exercises. So when you prepare the Microsoft document with the answers, then go to the link. There is a Google Form link there. Put your email, put your name, and upload the Microsoft document. I'm really hoping that is very clear. Please, is that clear? I mean, Prof. Alison's exercise. Maybe it's because you've not seen the slide. If you see the slide, you see the questions. There are about 4 or 5 questions. So you just answer them in a Microsoft document. It's different from other quizzes. That's why we're trying to explain it in more detail. It's different from other quizzes because you have to answer it in a Microsoft document. Yes, and then you upload it in a Google Form. Yeah, so that's how it is. And then after that, that may not have to happen right now. So we are giving a little more time for catch up. But then what we might really want to do now is the pre-workshop quiz for session 9. So session 9 is on risks of bias assessment and quality assessment. Someone is asking, how will it be put on MS Word? It's just type inside a Microsoft document, save, and then you upload. So if you check your email, there is an article for you to read. It's a Cochrane article. So you would see the checklist coming first, then the article follows. So you have to carefully read that article. And after reading the article, there is a link for you to critique or, assess the risks of bias in that article. And you have to do that like in 15 minutes from now. Yeah, right now. It's even more urgent than the Prof. Alison's session. So while that is going on, So all that is going on, will be sharing the registration link for the virtual participant. Essien, please, can you do that? Zoom, okay. What about Zoom? Okay. Sorry, I'm seeing 4 hands raised. I don't know if the question is concerning what I'm just saying, or it's for profilism. If it's for profilism, I'm sorry, it's really too late. Okay, it's for me. No problem. Let us unmute you. We have Saha. Saha, you can go ahead.
Okay, first of all, I need to ask you, for this session of Professor Allison, do we have to do the quiz right now? This is the first one. For the second one, you say that there's a quiz for session 9. Do we have to do it, I mean, right now too? Because it's confusing and we don't, I mean, it's not, it can be happen. Actually, it can be happen. So just get it straight for us to understand.
Yeah, I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry, Saha.
Yeah.
Profilism station, it's developing a full systematic review search strategy. So it's really going to take time, and we wouldn't want you to do it now. It's something like a take home. But then it's important we complete the quiz, because without completing the quiz, it might not be possible to get the certificate. So we can give like maybe the end of the week. We're not yet sure, but we'll let you know how much time you have. We can give till next week, Monday or Tuesday for submission. But it's very unlikely that we will extend up to Tuesday. But then what is urgent, or what has to be done now, is a pre-workshop quiz. And that is for session 9. Is that okay now, please?
Yes, it is. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
My name is Areola from Nigeria. I actually would like a number of things. I've not been getting the post quiz for other sections, on even the pre-quiz form 9. I don't have it. I'm online, and I'm not in the health sciences. I'm in fisheries and aquaculture. And I'm wondering how I can be linked with others in my subject area, and also to be linked with the team in Nigeria to have a proper contact details, so that my attending this program will be of advantage to me. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the question. Yes, let me start with talking about the email. It's very unlikely that you registered for the event and you're not receiving email. If that is the case, then we suggest you check your spam folder, because I'm not sure we have up to 2 persons that, or maybe the email was not well written, so there should be an error, because we have an email list for this program and they're always receiving our emails. So I'm really sorry about that.
I'm receiving emails, but I'm not getting the post quiz forms. That's what I'm receiving, all the emails, but not the pre-quiz and post-quiz form. Right now, I don't even have the one for this session 9 that we are to do. I don't know what's going on.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry about that. But if you're receiving emails, then you're receiving the quizzes as well.
because the quizzes are in the emails you're receiving, and we title it in the subject. So you'd see the subject to tell you this is what this email is for. It's not all the sessions that have pre-quizzes.
Okay.
I think it's just about 2 sessions that we've done pre-quizzes, but then we've had post-session quiz for all the sessions except session 4. So if you open your email, you would see all the links to them.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank
So
you.
how do I get linked to the team in Nigeria so that I'm not working alone?
No problem. Thank you very much. That's a very interesting question. It's one of the things that we would like to address in our coming project. And there is a tool we are developing. My colleague will be talking more about it. And that tool is called a systematic review catalog. The tool is currently somehow piloted on our AuthorHead platform, but then we will be doing some level of rebranding and modification. And the purpose of the tool, although she's supposed to tell you more about it, but the tool is to connect you to, or connect us to systematic review enthusiasts and mentors. So let's say you have a topic you want to work on and you need a team. So the tool is to help you see people in your field that will be available to work with you. So that's what we are developing. But for now, the strategy we're using now, while the tool is currently being developed, is taking advantage of our community platform. So we have a WhatsApp community platform, and we have so much call for collaborators going on there. So we're believing that if you've been receiving our emails, you should receive the link to it. I know at some point it gets reset and gets filled and all that, but don't worry, we'll be addressing that with subsequent emails. And then aside from our WhatsApp community platform, our AuthorHead Google community is a very large and diverse Google community. So it's not WhatsApp or any social media. You're just linked through email. So it's a community of over 14,000 researchers in low and middle income countries. And it's a very active community. We have opportunities shared there, and we have call for collaborators shared there. So if you're interested in working on a systematic review on laboratory medicine or fishery and agriculture, as you just mentioned, you post it there. And when you post it on the AuthorHead Google community group, you would see people who are interested in working with you, emailing you. It's very active. And if you try this, I'm very sure that you get very good results. So Rose is going to share the link to the AuthorHead Google community group very soon.
I'm a member of the AuthorHead community group already, but the WhatsApp group that you just mentioned, I don't think I'm on it.
Oh, okay.
I sent my phone number yesterday. I don't know if you got it, but I can put it right now on the chat box so that you can put me on that WhatsApp group. But the AuthorHead community, I'm already there. And I thank you very much for leading me to how I can start a process. And when I put it there, others will join, and then we can move on from there. Thank you for that. But I will put my phone number straight away now on the chat box so that you can put me on the WhatsApp group for this program, the one you mentioned. I appreciate that. I'm on the WhatsApp group for the AuthorHead one already.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your responses. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't know if there is any other hand raised or any question, not for this session, but for these clarifications we are having now.
Hi, I have a question.
Okay.
It might be concerning to the same what my previous colleague mentioned. Because it's a big community, it's a part of from Author 8. I'm also a member, but I would like to know if there is, because I can see there is a hub in each country. For example, in Nigeria, I'm not sure about Kenya and other, or Uganda, but I'm from Sudan. I just want to know if there is a hub for Sudan because I cannot find it, and if there is a procedure that can be done to create one if it's not exist.
Yeah,
Or should I? Mhm.
Yeah, at AuthorHate, we are trying to scale. We are trying to scale our activities across low and middle income countries. So we have the AuthorHate Nigeria hub. That's essentially focused on Nigerian researchers, but of course, events are always extending outside Nigeria and outside Africa. We have AuthorHate Kenya. I think it's more like a mentorship group. We have AuthorHate Kenya and AuthorHate Nepal. They are more like mentorship groups. And the AuthorHate Nepal, I think it's a little bit more for women. Yes, and we have AuthorHate Ghana. We have ACSRM. ACSRM activities covers say low and middle income countries. So we cannot really pick which country we are, you know. But then most of our participants come from Nigeria and East Africa, Nigeria, Ghana, and East Africa, and Nepal. So that's where we have most of our participants coming from.
Oh, video. Check this one. I'll try somebody that.
Okay, so it might be difficult to say we have a hub for, I'm not sure we have a hub for South Sudan, but I think it's okay if you join the activities of other hubs. I mean, we're not stingy. We really accommodate people from other countries. So it's very fine if you can join. Yeah, I just want to clarify, AuthorHate doesn't have a WhatsApp group. AuthorHate has a Google community. So that's where community members are, and that's where community members' activities take place. But then we have a community group for AuthorHate Nigeria, AuthorHate Nigeria, and a community group for ACSRM. So that's really how it is.